forward to putting your name next to face as well. So hence those moments where you show your face are quite precious for us and for me in particular, because you guys might have seen each other in your own ways. You've got syndicate meetings and so on. So I don't have the benefit of interacting with you daily. So I take those moments of video quite serious. Okay, colleagues. I did speak about content and material, and I did say you should have downloaded your content and course material from Sakai. If not, that's fine. Don't panic. You might want to do that during the break or any other time. So right now I'm on the slides pack. I hope everyone can see my slides. Can someone say yes? Just one person?
Yes.
There you go. There you go. So colleagues, in terms of our interaction, I don't mind being informal. Anyone just barge in, answer whatever I'm throwing out there. But also you can go the formal route in terms of raising your digital hand, and we'll go straight to you. Should I delay bringing you in while your hand is up? Just come in. Just come in. Find an opportunity to come in. There will be moments where I delay coming to you. Maybe there's something I want to unpack first before I bring in the hand that's up. So there might be those delayed moments now and then as well. But all I'm saying is I'm very keen for you to come in anytime. These slides are fairly straightforward, guys. My slides, you can go through them at your own time, at your own pace. I will use a few slides. I mean, we have 9 sessions. In the 9 sessions, I will use not more than 40 slides in the whole 9 sessions. So you can see that I'm more about a discussion and our interactions as well. I did say we're going to have quite a few visitors if you want. One of them obviously is Dr. Karen, who's going to do a full session on the 30th of January. And down the road, she might come in for one additional session. I might also bring in a speaker, a guest speaker in 1 or 2 of the sessions as well. So look forward to that mix of voices, if you want to call it that. In terms of the philosophy, I've already said it. I take a very practical approach. There will be a lot of opportunity for you to reflect on some of our conversations, but in the main, we will dominate with group work, such that in every session, plus minus 45 minutes has been allocated to group work. So what I want to do quickly, I want to show you guys what I refer to as the workbook. So I've designed a very simple Microsoft Word workbook. It's a templates book, basically, where you will apply some of the concepts and frameworks on an organization of your choice. Let me try and find the document and show it to you so that everyone is familiar with this particular document. So in front of you, you should be having a Microsoft Word document, which is basically a workbook. So please, guys, make sure to find it. Make sure that there is one copy. You only need one person to have this open. Others can have it open if they want, but you want one person to have it open and give it a name, save it, because in every session, you're going to be continuing in terms of using this workbook. The beauty, guys, is the exercises are building on each other. Each exercise builds on the next. It builds on the previous. So make sure that you have one version of this. The person might want to share the version after every session to make sure everyone has kept it, or you can keep it in a shared folder or whatever it is. You guys will have your own arrangements there. So today there are three things you're going to do on it. The first one is going to just give a synopsis of the organization you're going to choose, touching on their products and services and the industries they operate in. Just a short paragraph. That's on page 4. You also do page 5. Very important. The elements of strategy for that organization. So you'll populate this, whatever the organization is that you've chosen. And then if, guys, only if there is time left, you can quickly critique their vision statement using this particular a particular template. Critique the vision statement and maybe make some recommendation on how they should have crafted that vision statement. So that's today, guys, up to page 7. But I do suspect that the vision exercise you might not have time for, so you can stop at this one. So let's see how it goes. If you have time, you are quick, do all 3 of them up to page 7. If not, just do 1 and 2. Let's see how that goes. But guys, you're not going to do that now. You're going to do that at the end of the session. That will be around 10:45, but I will prompt you guys when you are ready or should be ready for that. So colleagues, that was the templates book. You're going to be using it throughout the 9 sessions. It's beautiful because what's on that templates book are all the key concepts and frameworks. All you're doing, you're applying them on an organization of your choice. Whatever organization you're going to choose, it must be an organization that people have an interest in, people in the group have an interest in, or know something about, so that you are able to carry that through. So you don't want to be in a situation where you have to change on the 3rd or 4th session and so on. You can make a change maybe in the 2nd session if people don't really like the company, or there's problems, there's no information on the company, but I won't want to see you making changes later on down the line. So let's see how that goes. Let me go back to my slides. Okay, so that's my approach in making these sessions very practical. Yeah, guys, the conversations will be supported by theory, key frameworks. I'm quite selective of which frameworks we want to unpack. There are hundreds of frameworks, but I've selected the ones that I know are very useful in terms of opening up our minds and perspectives and worldview, but also they are useful in the workplace as well. It's concepts, it's frameworks that you can take to the workplace almost immediately. I need to see you guys applying this to your environment. So in those moments of reflection, in the conversations in the syndicate group, but also our conversation in class, take an opportunity when you can to say, so lovely, in our space, this is how we see this is how we use this, or whatever it is. So try and apply this in your own environment. And I'm saying please help, because you know your space more than we do. So come to the party and share some of the stories in the spaces that you are in. I've already said it. Let's keep the sessions interactive, interject anytime, ask questions anytime. And this module is unique in that it's more learner-led. So we have a very short time together. Most of the work will be done by you at your own space in terms of reading the textbook, preparing some of the exercises in the workbook, and also the peer-to-peer learning that happens in the syndicate groups and all of that. Guys, by the way, I want you to have appreciation of what's going to come out of the syndicate group conversations in class, but also at your own time when you're busy with the assignment. Respect the space, appreciate what comes out of it. Learn as much as you can from these colleagues. These people have got tens and tens of years of experience in various industries, so take advantage of that. I've had 1 or 2 people before who said to me, so what am I going to learn from these people and all of that? So in other words, you need to take advantage of the space, because you might find that you spend way more time with your syndicate than you spend with me. So take advantage of the syndicate space, the peer-to-peer learning space. You've got people there who are senior, who are executives, who know so much about this topic, about the spaces they're in. Take advantage of that. I can't overemphasize it enough. I've already said it that the module is pitched at NQF5, so there's a bit of a high expectation from you guys. So in terms of course material, there's a lot on Sakai. I'm sure you guys have seen the documents I've placed there, from the slides, which are PDF'd, to the textbook itself. There's also a document which introduces you to the presentations that will be done by the syndicates, and also the workbook, which I've just shown you guys. So I want to check, colleagues, has everyone got the textbook?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Any issues, any problems, any issues in accessing the textbook?
No. There
Okay, guys.
with Mind Matters, where they said the stock is stuck in the UK and it hasn't come yet.
Yeah. Okay. Have you been at is it Van Skyke or these popular bookstores? I just forgot the name of the bookstores now. But some of the bookstores have got this book. So don't rely on only one source. But I am getting a sense that the majority of the class has got the textbook. Guys, please use the textbook. Don't only use it as an ornament. I heard people, when we go into their house, in the dining room, is there with the ornaments, exploring strategy. Sometimes comrades want to send a message to the family that I'm busy now with strategy. Even the neighbors must know, father-in-law, mother-in-law must know that I'm doing strategy, and the textbook is there for everyone to see. Hey, you need to use this textbook. They must see you using it. The whole course or module is in that textbook. I'm only touching on highlights, on high-level issues, high-level concepts, the most important concepts. In the main, if you really want to understand the topic, the strategy, you want to master strategy, you need to read your textbook, guys. Before coming to class, there are specific chapters that you have to read. Make sure you read those chapters. That way, you're going to enrich your own experience, but also the experience of the group and the class itself. You'll find that actually you're on top of things when it comes to the issues that we're going to be discussing. Please, 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 for your own sake, read all the chapters in the textbook. I will give you an idea now in terms of how the chapters flow, because this textbook, unfortunately, is not a matter of reading from chapter 1 to chapter 16. You can do that, but there is a particular flow that I want to suggest in terms of how to go with the textbook. But let's see if that is useful. I will introduce that shortly. Okay, colleagues, let me go back to the slides. I'm sure everyone is there on the slides. So I will speak about the learning outcomes shortly. I've already spoken about preparation. Guys, the issue of feedback is very important. I love feedback. So if there's something that you think we can do better, we, meaning I, Mzo, approach me immediately to say, Mzo, can you try this approach? Or whatever it might be. So at the end of the course, maybe mid-course, you might be asked to populate on the app or on the website or somewhere on a link, populate a form where you give feedback to us, faculty, and how you are receiving the course. That's great. But don't wait for that. If there are things you want me to improve on, please raise them in class, raise them on the side, or anytime. I'm always willing to listen and improve accordingly. Consulting with me, you can consult with me anytime. Sometimes I will be in a class or in a client meeting or whatever it might be, but I'll do my best to also return your calls or whatever it might be. The best way to contact me, I'm finding that it's WhatsApp. I'm very big, colleagues, on WhatsApp. Let me write down my cell number, but obviously it's on the profile document, my profile. which you would have seen on Sakai. So I've just put in my number on the chat box. I'm sure you guys have seen that already. So please WhatsApp me anytime with questions, concerns, or whatever it might be. I'm great at reverting back quickly in terms of WhatsApp, or you can even email me if you want. Mzo at purplegrowth.co.za. I'm giving you that. I'm not giving you the VETS one because I do check it now and then, but the email that I check almost every 5 minutes is the business one, mzo at purplegrowth.co.za. By the way, when you've got time, check us out, guys. Check us out in terms of who we are and what we do at purplegrowth.co.za, our website. In fact, I can tell you now, some of the people that we collaborate with, some of the people that we do great work with, are people I met on the MBA and PTPE classes. So check out what we do. Let's engage and maybe talk about it later, or even one-on-one, or whatever space that you might want. Some people even come to us and say, "So I want to get exposure in the consulting space. What can you do for me?" and so on. And we put them on client projects for them to get such exposure, and so on and so on. So I'm big on collaboration. So check us out and let's chat about that later. So that was my contact details. Consult me anytime, guys. I'm always happy to take a call, happy to take a WhatsApp, to make sure that everyone is on the same page and they don't experience too much of hurdles or barriers. We'll solve that for you. Obviously, for admin related issues, you might want to speak to Poncho, but for issues around strategy as a module, speak to me anytime. Breaks. We're going to be giving you breaks, guys, now and then. Obviously, there are formal breaks like tea and so on. Who can remind us, what time is your tea? What time is your formal break?
10.
10 o'clock, okay. Okay, so we're going to be very flexible. We're going to take it anytime when we see an opportunity, and we'll make that break 15 minutes. But now and then I'll be giving you 5 minutes break here, 5 minutes break here, to keep you guys fresh. So look forward to that. So we're going to have a break, and we're going to have our first break in the next 5 minutes. Something very important, colleagues, your assessments. So I have a slide here called assessment guide. I hope everyone can see the slide. You're going to have a number of assessments. You've got a syndicate, a presentation that you guys are going to deliver. That one is worth 30% in terms of the weighting for the course, so that's quite critical. You also have 2 individual assignments, each worth 20%. You also have obviously an exam, and the exam is 30%. So it's going to be a case-based exam, and I'm going to brief you guys on the exam properly at a much later stage. All I can tell you now is it's going to be a case-based exam, very practical. You're going to do the exam at your own time, at your own space, and submit accordingly. We'll give you the date, we'll give you what that time will be. You'll do it in your own space. It's open book, application of concepts on a case we're going to give you, and you submit within specified time. So look forward to that. I'll give you tips and so on much later. But I'm sure you guys are not worried about an exam at this point. I'm sure you guys are not even thinking about exams at this point. Okay, guys, before we go to the break, I just want to introduce to you your topics, because each and every syndicate group has got its own topic, okay, that they're going to present on. So the document I've just opened, it's a Word document. I hope everyone can see it. It basically introduces the task ahead. So please, when you have time, read. It's a letter, basically. I've written a letter to everyone here in the group, in the cohort, and I'm introducing the task ahead. So please have a look at my letter. So yeah, we did say 30 minutes, and the presentation time differs per syndicate. We might do all the syndicate or all the presentations in one session. That might not be practical, so maybe let's look at having them in 2 sessions. But be flexible. I'm going to give you the date now in terms of saying be ready by this date. In fact, I can tell you, we are likely to present during session 7 and session 8. So I need all the 8 syndicate groups to be ready by session 7 in case we all present during that session. But chances are we might present during session 7 and 8, or we might all present during session 7. So we just need to be ready by session 7. I've got all the rules around these presentations. But I can tell you already, oh guys, why did I say 15? It's actually 10 minutes, eh? Please guys, make a note. Each and every syndicate group will have 10 minutes to present. That excludes Q&A and any other discussion that we need to have. So please guys, make a note. It's not 15 minutes, it's 10 minutes per group. So you'll manage your time accordingly. Some of the groups are very creative. They will pre-record their presentation and just play it for us on the day. You can do that as well, or present live on the day, whatever you want to do. Okay, so let's talk to the group. So we have how many groups? We have 8 groups, which is cool. So syndicate 1, your topic is going to be history and culture, and you've got very specific questions that you have to address as part of your presentation. Guys, all the presentation will come in the form of PowerPoint. You can add any creativity that you want to bring into it, but in the main, it's a PowerPoint type presentation. Group 1, history and culture. Group 2, leadership and strategic change. Group 3, competitive strategy and business models. Group 4, the issue of outsourcing versus insourcing. Group 5, diversification. Group 6, mergers, acquisitions, and alliances. Group 7, vertical integration. Group 8, you will also do the same topic. Okay, so guys, this is quite interesting in that each and every syndicate group has responsibility in terms of covering one of the major topics of this course. Each and every topic almost represents a particular chapter in the textbook or is part of a particular chapter. In fact, I think everyone, apart from vertical integration, everyone owns a full chapter in the textbook. Vertical integration, you are part of one of the chapters. So your task involves doing research on the internet and other sources, tapping into the content that's in the textbook, and coming up with a very solid presentation. On my side, I can tell you now, I will likely not present on any of those topics. So in other words, you as a group fully owns the topic. You are basically going to run a masterclass. You're going to educate us on the topic, but taking a very practical approach, addressing the questions, talking about case examples, your own experiences, and so on and so on and so on. So it's going to be quite a fun exercise. It's going to be quite educational. We are highly dependent on each group, on the unique topics they have been allocated. You are basically doing a job for us because the 9 sessions are just not enough. I've told the school that before, and the school has said to us, that's the structure of the PTPE. I said to them, can't you give us 18 sessions because strategy is a massive topic. So they said, no, so we can only give you guys 9 sessions. So we had to find creative ways of covering all the key issues in strategy. Hence, your responsibility is to cover those specific topics. Guys, before we take a break, let me hear from you now. Any questions regarding assessments, including the group work? Any questions? Any questions on assessments? Okay, come in, Bianca.
I'm Zoe.
Hi.
Sorry, let me just put my fan off. Really so you said sessions 7 and 8. I just want to confirm the date here. So that could be the 27th of Feb or the 6th of March. Can you kindly confirm the dates for us? So we
27th February and 6th March. Yeah. That's what you said to me. When it comes to dates, these are on Sakai. Okay, these are on Sakai. Let me see if I can open Sakai quickly. So I hope everyone has taken time, guys, to visit the page, the Sakai page, the lesson page for strategy. All the dates are there in terms of what session will be covered when. So while I'm speaking, I'm busy opening Sakai, so just give me a second. This is PTBA, strategy B. Okay, colleagues, I want to share my screen. Okay, guys, can everyone see Sakai, my page?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, beautiful, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on strategy on the left. Great. I'm now on the strategy page on Sakai. Okay, so all you do, guys, is to go to this link, introduction to the course. Can you guys see that? So please take time to read the overview so that you've got a taste of what this course is about, our teaching methods, and so on. And then you've got all the material, guys. Here's the material. So what I've done is it's not neat. My same so that's not neat. I've put in all the content under this space, pre-reading and lecturer's profile. I've just put in all the content there, including the slides. The slides you have, guys, are for the first 3 sessions, session 1 to session 3. The reason why I don't give you other sessions is because I'm someone who updates my slides regularly. So once I've updated, I will put in more sessions and you will download accordingly. For now, you have slides for session 1 to session 3. And then the other link is integrated course timetable. Okay, so let's see. Sessions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we are likely to present on 27 February and 6 March. Can you see?
Thanks, Simzo.
Yes, session 7 and 8, 27 Feb and 6 March. So I want all 8 groups to be ready by 27 Feb. We might do all the search groups there, but if we don't have enough time, some groups might fall into 6 March. And it's not a matter of group 1, group 2, group 3. I might just say group 4, your topic sounds interesting. Can you please start? So when it's not like group 1, group 2, group 3, and so on. So everyone must be ready by that session. Okay, guys, any other questions on the assessments? Any other question on the individual assignment, on the group, on the exam? I'm going to have a look at your individual assignment and we can discuss it in detail at the next session. I won't discuss it now, but you can get started anyway. Okay, and then which means everyone is cool. Everyone is on the same page, guys. The time is 9:20. So let's take 15 minutes and be back at 25 to 10. So please take a 15 minutes break and I'll see you guys at 25 to 10. Thank you very much. Okay, welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Just trying to check the settings here. Okay, I hope everyone is back. I hope everyone is back. I see people are waiting in the lobby. Let me see if I can accept them. Okay, I think everyone is in. Okay, guys, I've just realized that I haven't posted the brief for the individual assignments. So I'm going to post that in the course of today. And also, I'm going to post a one-pager that has got links to some interesting videos on YouTube. So please have a look at that. Do watch the videos at your own time. They will be useful in terms of understanding some of the concepts and some of the things we're going to be looking at. So please have a look at that later on. Okay, so in terms of the module itself, so the learning outcomes are fairly detailed if you look at on the Sakai page, on the Sakai lesson page, but I've just picked up a few that I want to touch on so that you guys can have an idea in terms of why we're doing this module and what you're going to gain out of the module. The first learning outcomes is by the end of the module, by the end of the 9 sessions, especially today, you will have a very good idea of what strategy is about, especially the concept of strategy. So you'll be able to clearly define a strategy. There are hundreds of definitions out there. We're going to share a few of those definitions and hoping that you will have a good picture of what strategy is about by the end of the day. You should, by the end of the course, be able to examine both the external and internal factors that determine the conditions for the development of strategy and resource allocation. So one of the most interesting things about building or developing strategy for an organization is that almost everything that strategy is about is dependent on the environment. It's dependent on the situation. I did say earlier on, a lot of us managers in organizations have an opportunity to get involved in the strategic analysis space. That's our space in terms of continuously analyzing the environment, from the macro environment to issues of competition, to issues relating to the customer. So we have to do external environmental analysis on a continuous basis so that we can be well informed in terms of what strategic direction the organization should be taking. So we're going to be exposing you guys to a lot of frameworks, to a lot of tools that you can use in analyzing your environment from an external point of view and internal point of view as well. I suspect that quite a bit of our time, something like 3 sessions, are going to be spent on the issue of the environment, external and internal environment. In the textbook itself, that is chapters 2, 3, and also chapter 4 in terms of the external and the internal environment. Very important part of the course. By the end of the course, you should be able to appraise the resources and the capabilities of the firm in terms of the ability to confer sustainable competitive advantage for the organization. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at quite closely when we look at chapter 4 on internal analysis, right? I always say to people, resources are more, if you want definitions, resources are basically what we have, and then capabilities are what we do well. I always say resources and capabilities are the backbone of strategy. They are the backbone of implementation of the strategy. You can have the greatest of strategies, but if you don't have the resources and the capabilities that are necessary to implement that strategy, it's game over for you. So we're going to be spending time in terms of understanding what resources and capabilities do we have, and do these resources and capabilities give us any advantage as an organization. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on that. By the end of the course, you should be able to demonstrate the ability to think critically in relation to a particular problem, situation, or strategic decision through real-world scenarios. So one of the skills that you're going to gain from this course, from our conversations, is that ability to think critically, that ability to think strategically. I think Dr. Karen mentioned that in her introduction earlier on. My view is all of us, one way or the other, we have that capability. Maybe it's just the space that we're in our organizations where we don't have enough space to express ourselves strategically, to express ourselves in a way that is critical, where we can sort of give a view on what the organization is doing and what it should be doing and all of that. So I'm trying to say all of us have that in us, but through a program like this, the PDBA program, like the module itself, strategy, we get to polish our ability to think at a high level, our ability to be big picture thinkers. So that's part of what you're going to gain in terms of this course. I hope that we're also going to sort of ignite some curiosity in you, whereby after learning about this, you now have a sharper eye in terms of saying, sure, this is what is going on in our industry, and this is how it's impacting our organization. This is how it's influencing the direction of the organization and all of that. You might not be close to strategy in your organization in terms of developing strategy and all of that, but now that you are part of this course, you are part of this module, you will be able to observe certain things, sometimes from a distance, and you'll be able to form your own view in terms of how things are and how they should be, and so on. So that's part of what we give you in the course. You should, by the end of the course, understand the significance of strategy implementation or execution. I always say you can have the greatest of strategies. You can have the strategy well written in the most polished English, in the most polished ways, great looking document. But at the end of the day, if we are not able to implement that strategy, it's all in vain. So implementation is very critical in this game of strategy. In fact, on this point, maybe we can play a very quick game just to bring you guys to the conversation. Let me just see if my background effects are on. Okay, so what I want to do, guys, quickly, I just want to bring you guys to the conversation, right? and sort of give you a bit of a tricky situation, just to emphasize on this point around the importance of implementation. So here's a scenario. You've got a gun in your head, and this person is giving you two choices, and you have to choose one of the two. There's no third force or story, or you can't say, no, I can't choose. You have to choose between the two options that you are being given. The first option is a good strategy implemented badly. A good strategy implemented badly. That's choice number one. Choice number two, or option number two, a bad strategy implemented very well. So you've got two options. One is good strategy implemented badly, and the second option is bad strategy implemented very well. So let me maybe get 2 or 3 voices. Talk to me about which option would you go with? Anyone? Which option would you go with? You're being pointed with a gun, actually, and you have to choose. Bongeka, how would you get out of this one? Let's start with Bongeka. Hi, Bongeka. What option would you go with?
So I'll go with the second option.
Which was?
Which is a bad strategy implemented very well.
Okay. Why does that option sort of, why is it a better option for you, Bongeka?
Because it tells me that you've got the right attitude. It tells me that you've got the right aptitude in your team. You can always recalibrate because it gives you just a room for failure. So you can see that this idea that we implemented here doesn't work, and then you can pivot and recalibrate. Whereas if it's a best strategy and it's it's a good strategy and it's implemented very badly, that has to do with the resources available. That it doesn't matter how the strategy is so well, it can never. I don't have hope that that these people or the resources available can be utilized well. But if it's something that can be pivoted and can be changed, then that means that the people have the willing, that they have the aptitude, they have the strength to do. It's just that they can learn from the mistake of, okay, we need to rethink, we need to go to the drawing board and see how we can recalibrate and rethink our strategy. That's how I'll go for the second option.
Okay, great, colleagues. Colleagues, that was Usis Bongeka. Let me get one more voice. Who will go for a different option? Anyone? There was a voice that came in almost the same time as Bongeka. Who was that? Anyone, guys? Anyone? Come in. Don't even knock. Just come in at the door. Jesse, come in.
Hi. So I think I'll go with the first option, which was a good strategy, but then implemented bad.
Why?
Now, I think because, like, even though it was bad implementation, we can still go back and then see how we can rectify our steps so that we can improve on the next step. Because with something that went bad but implemented well, you can't teach that to people. You can't say, okay, even though it was bad implementation, this is how we're gonna be doing things the wrong way so that we can get better results. I mean, it's always good to rely on something positive so that you can always rectify in the future. So hence, I'll go with the first one.
Yes. Okay, great contributions there from Bongeka and JC. I'm sure everyone is reflecting deeply here to say which one is better, which of the two devils is better, because we said the first one is good strategy implemented badly, and the second option was bad strategy implemented very well. So both options are actually not ideal. Obviously, there was no third option, which was a good strategy implemented well. That's the ideal. That's what we want to see in organizations, but it does not always happen. Some organizations have great strategies written on paper, but when it comes to implementation, it just does not work. And in fact, you could say that our government is also suffering from that a bit, because it's not like we don't have strategies. There are strategies, there are plans. There has been some implementation, there has been some great implementation, but overall, you notice that at all levels of government, there seems to be some problems when it comes to actual implementation of the strategic plan that is in place. So maybe you might want to reflect in terms of your own organization, to say where are we in this conversation as an organization. Okay, so let me go back, guys, to the slides. And I was still unpacking for you the key learning outcomes for this particular module. The last one is, by the end of the module, you will get to understand what constitutes effective managerial leadership in terms of achieving exactly what we've spoken about, which is a successful implementation. Guys, at the heart of the implementation game is leadership. So you want strong leaders. When I say leaders, I'm talking to leaders at all levels, from supervisory to managerial to executive leadership and top management. You want to have people who are able to share a clear vision with us as a team in terms of where we're going. You want to have people who are able to motivate us on a daily basis, who are able to sell the plan to us on a daily basis. So the issue of motivation, the issue of positive influence is quite critical in terms of leadership. So I'm trying to say one of the key success factors when it comes to implementation is leadership. And we're going to be referring to that as much as we can. Your textbook carries that theme throughout all the chapters in terms of the importance of having strong leadership at all levels of the organization, in terms of communicating the strategy, motivating the teams on a daily basis, monitoring their performance, and bringing in control when things are not working well with the teams as they implement the strategy. So it's quite a key theme that we're going to carry. Oh, we have a group, by the way, that's going to present on leading strategic change. Remember, guys, strategy is change. So they're going to talk to us about the role of leadership in terms of driving change in organizations. It's one of the groups. I can't remember which one it is. It might be group 2 or somewhere there. Colleagues, those are the learning outcomes in terms of what we're trying to achieve with this particular module. At this point, I do want to bring you into the table. I want to ask you, what are your own expectations of the module? So I've given you an idea to say from a VETS business school point of view, this is what we're trying to do with this module. I want to hear from you now. What are your expectations? Maybe 2 or 3 people, guys, talk to me about what you want to get from the module. You might also maybe come in from a different angle and talk to us about strategic issues in your own organization. What are some of the things that you've observed when it comes to strategy, when it comes to decision making in your own organization? And you might want to bring this close to the trick a sort of question I had posed earlier as well. So here's a question: what are your expectations of the module? Or take a different angle and talk to us about strategic issues in your own organization. 2 or 3 people, anyone. Anyone, guys? Yes, Nko.
Maybe like some ways to measure if your strategy is going right or not, and basically understanding the indicators of a good strategy, yeah, before it gets to feedback at the end.
Yes. So I think a key theme in terms of what you want to talk to us about is the issue of being able to measure the success of the strategy and what the indicators there should be. So down the line, we're going to have some conversations around strategic planning, and I'm going to introduce what goes into a high-level activity plan. And part of it will be the issue of measurements and the issue of how to craft performance indicators for the people who are going to be involved in the implementation of the strategy. So look forward to that. But I'll also encourage you to pay attention to chapter 12. Chapter 12 in the textbook speaks about measurement of the strategy. The chapter is called Evaluating Strategies, and at the heart of it is looking deeply on whether these strategies are performing and if there are problems as we implement the strategies and all of that. So look out for chapter 12, Branko, in terms of your own reading as well. Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Nishanta?
Hi, Mzo. It's more from from like my organization, just to understand how the the strategy can be kind of cascaded throughout the business, and ensuring everybody's on the same page. Because sometimes it stops at exec level or management level, and then nobody else actually understands why the business is changing or why it's made that decision.
Yes, so she's saying to us, possibly one of her observations in her own organization is the issue of cascading. Hey guys, did you hear that? Cascading. So let me tell you, one of the things you're going to gain from this module is the fact that you're going to polish up on your own vocabulary when it comes to key words that you can sort of use in conversations, in workshops, and all of that. So one of the words that I always see people throwing around is the word cascade, right? And I'm going to speak to that shortly. But talk to me, guys. Which other words do people throw around? And you guys say, oh wow, that guy must have done an MBA or something like that. What words do people normally throw around? Words that you're going to add on your own vocab after the end of this module?
Go, I have a question for you.
Yes.
To what extent are you going to incorporate the Kaplan and Norton balanced scorecard into the evaluation of the strategy and everything else? Or you're not going to touch it?
Yeah, we're going to bring the scorecard quite early. I can tell you now. We're going to talk about it already on session 2, which is next week. Yeah. So it's going to come in quite early in the process. If not, and we're going to keep going back to it as well. So once you speak about strategic planning, you speak about the issue of monitoring, evaluation. Part of that will definitely talk to scorecard, and there are many ways of drafting or designing scorecards, but I'm going to just maybe showcase one, but I'll encourage you again to have a close look at chapter 12.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, great. Guys, I wanted to have a bit of fun. Talk to guys, by the way, people must see that this one is now on a PBA, MBA journey. Let me tell you something, guys, especially for those of you who have been financed by the organization. People are going to talk, eh? People are going to talk. Oh, that one is now doing a PTBA. Oh, we will see. What do they mean by we will see? They are demanding change. They are saying we will see if there's going to be any change. Show them the change. In those virtual or face-to-face meetings, just throw in new words, man. throw in big words, sometimes just to confuse the hell out of them, and then quickly bring them back within a few seconds and move on with the conversation. Just throw in words, just show people that you are now on a VEST business school, a PTBA. Throw around big words. So talk to me. What are some of those big words we can throw around? One of them is cascade. But give me some of those common words.
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit. Okay, what else? Give me those big words and phrases.
Transformation.
Transformative. Is this transformative? Okay, what else? Don't be shy, guys, you know the words.
A paradigm shift.
Give it to me again.
A paradigm shift.
A paradigm shift. Okay. Even the word synergy. I've seen people throwing synergy around in almost every management meeting, and many other words. So you guys are going to be gaining a new set of words that are going to enrich your vocabulary as part of showcasing that, now you are on a PTBA. Oh, by the way, even your work has to change. They won't benefit from this because of the lockdown or whatever. But when you go back to the office, going back to the plant or whatever, you need to come in there with a new work, a PTBA work. Have you guys been shown the PTBA work?
No, not yet.
No, just show us.
What was the orientation about then? There's a very particular work here on the PTBA and MBA, and I'll raise it with the school for them to show you that work, so that when you go back to the office, people must tell, hey, that one must be doing a VETS business school MBA or PTBA. But anyway, I'll show you the work. But if they don't show you, let me know, guys. I'll show you the work. Okay, so we were still on cascade. One of our colleagues is saying to us, there seems to be an issue in terms of cascading of the strategy. Let me tell you guys, this is a massive problem in organizations where you find that the strategy is only worked on by the top management team. There is hardly any involvement for the other layers. So the organization is mainly taking a top-down approach. Ours is to say you need a more hybrid approach. Yes, management can lead us in terms of the high level strategy, putting that together. But at some point, you want to bring in other people, middle management, junior management, in terms of contributing to the strategy through workshopping or whatever it might be. So at that level, you need to get others involved, because that way you get buy-in from them. They take ownership of the strategy, they buy into it because they've had so much involvement into it. And then when it comes to everyone knowing the strategy, that's where cascading comes in, whereby you want to make sure that whatever activities are being carried out in departments, in countries, in regions, all of those activities help us achieve our objectives as an organization. So cascading comes in there in terms of making sure that there is continuous communication to all the layers of the organization, and there is a link between what is being done everywhere in the organization back to the strategy. So the issue of cascading strategy becomes critical in that way. Hence, in some organizations, in the ExCo, there is someone who is solely responsible for monitoring and control and reporting when it comes to the issue of strategy. And part of their work is ensuring that there is cascade, the strategy is well cascaded, if you want, throughout the organization. So it's a massive issue that organizations are suffering from. And I'm glad that it has been raised. Okay, guys. So the time now is 10:05. We're going to push until 20 to 11, somewhere there, or 1:45, and then I'll allow you guys to start with your group work. Before you do the group work, you might want to take a quick 5 minutes break, but I'll leave that to the groups to decide. But definitely a break will be needed around 11:45. That's where we're going to stop and allow the groups to do the work until 11:30. So that's the program for the day. Okay, let me go back to the slides and see what else I want to touch on. Guys, I did say earlier that I want this to be interactive, so please always come in. So the way I have structured the 9 sessions is this way. It's not perfect. Some people might poke holes on it and question it, but I found this to be working very well. We've taken this approach with a lot of the MBAs and with a few other PTBAs, and people said to me at the end, so it worked very well. So let's see if it's going to work for you guys as well. So the first part of the 9 sessions, we're going to spend quite a bit of time on the overview of strategy, in terms of what strategy is about. And I can tell you guys already, this will carry to the next session. So I'm hoping by the end of the next session, we'll be done with the overview of strategy. In terms of the chapters in the textbook, so this is where I sort of became a bit creative and said, chapters that really give us a deep overview of what strategy is about is chapter 1, chapter 5, 13 and 16. Chapter 1 is really the introduction to strategy. Chapter 5 is about stakeholders and governance. And then chapter 13 is about strategy development processes. How does strategy develop? And then chapter 16 is the practice of strategy. Who's who in strategy and what do they do? So in my mind, those, if you can really hone into those chapters, you will have a very strong sort of understanding of what strategy is about. We'll then move into into analysis. I refer to it as strategic analysis. You can call it situational analysis. You can call it environmental scanning. And we'll focus first on the external in terms of understanding competition, understanding macro environmental issues, the customer and their needs and other issues. All of that will be done. And external, and my view is chapter 2 and 3 will cover that nicely for us, especially that issue of the industry level analysis on chapter 3, right? We'll then move into internal environmental analysis. The book calls it resources and capabilities. I'm not happy with that title. Resources and capabilities analysis is part of internal. So I'd rather refer to this as internal environmental analysis, and it's covered nicely on chapter 4. And then we spend quite a bit of time, possibly 2 sessions, guys, on the issue of creation and evaluation of options, whereby we're saying, now that we understand our environment, what should the organization do? What ideas do we have? What strategies should be considered by the organization? I find at the end of chapter 4 and chapter 12 to be very useful there. Having said so, what is covered in business models and also corporate level strategies is actually part of this conversation on the creation of options, the methods that we use in that, and so on. So I'm trying to say number 4, number 6, and number 7, in a way, they do go together nicely, and I will show you that later on the journey, right? And then the number 5 is this issue now of planning and implementation, to say, now that we know which strategies we are going for, how will the planning around that look like? And what must we do to ensure successful implementation? That's where issues of culture, issues of leadership come in there, communication, structure, and all of that. That's where those issues come in nicely when we discuss the issue of implementation of the strategies. So some of the chapters I think you guys can look at there, 13, 16, 14, and 15 will be quite useful in terms of that. Okay, notice that your presentations, your syndicate presentations, majority of the groups are in 7, which is the corporate level strategies. I have one group that's going to cover a business level strategy, And also I have a group that's going to cover culture, which is an issue around implementation, and also leadership. Group 2, I think, also part of implementation. So that's how things are looking, guys, in terms of the structure. And at this point, I want to ask if this is clear for you. Okay, so anyone, guys, anyone, talk to me. Is this clear for you? Is this a structure that you guys can work with?
Yes, clear.
Yes.
Is it clear? Yeah, are you guys excited about this structure?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's a good structure.
Yes, yes, yes. And it also gives you ideas in terms of how to navigate the textbook. Because we did say it's not a matter of reading from 1 to 16. There's a certain flow that you might want to take in how you use this textbook, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful, guys, beautiful. Okay, it seems like people are comfortable. So that's how we've structured the module, or the 9 sessions, if you want. And guys, the other important thing, you need to be ahead of me. Very important. I've got my own pace. I've been accused of being slow. Today, so you are slow, man. That's how I roll, guys. So I'm trying to say, before session 1, you would have read at least the first 2 chapters. If not, it's fine. Catch up, at least read the first few chapters, or maybe use my flow. And same so, you said to us, the overview will be the first 2 sessions, and then read those chapters that I referred you to. So that by the end, by the time we're done with the first 2 sessions, you have also on your side already read the chapters I referred to. Then when we meet on session 3 and we start digging in on the issue of the environment, you have already read chapter 2 and 3 and so on and so on. So you need to be ahead of me. Because in the 9 sessions, somehow I catch up. I won't tell you when I catch up, but there's a point where I accelerate and catch up quickly. So you want to make sure that you are ahead of me in terms of preparing the chapters and all of that. So it's a beautiful textbook. Make sure to read it. It's got a lot of stories, a lot of cases. Its weakness is that it's not rich in terms of local cases, but that's fine because the group work in class is based on a local organization. Okay, so keep that in mind for me as well. Be ahead of me, and believe me, you won't go wrong. Okay. Let's see if we can go back. Hi, Lenmo. Lenmo, come in.
So sorry, I pressed that by mistake. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this technology. Sorry.
That's fine, Lenmo. That's fine, sir. Colleagues, I did say I want us to keep this very interactive. Now, here's the code. Now let's get into the content quickly. So I'm doing this. I'm going to ask you questions, and I want as much input as possible, so that we can make this interactive, right? So part of what chapter 1 does is to define strategies, to give us an overview of what strategy is about. So think about the first chapter of the textbook, think about what you read, think about what you know, your own ideas and all of that, as we address these questions. Well, that's what the overview is about. Okay, so if someone were to ask you, maybe on the elevator, or someone meets you on the road, or whatever it is, or maybe in one of the virtual Zoom sessions at work, they ask you, what is strategy? What is strategy? I heard that one of your first modules is strategy. What is that about? And by the way, don't give them a long definition. Give them something short, or give them a word or a phrase. So what words and phrases come to mind when someone says strategy? Anyone?
It's a path.
A path. Yes, a path. A path to where?
Whatever the end goal is for the business.
Yes, the organization will have ideas in terms of where it wants to end up in, what success looks like for the organization, and then the strategy becomes the path to that already defined success. Nice. What else, guys?
Plan of action.
A?
Plan of action.
Okay, I didn't get that properly said. Say it a bit slow for me. Plan of?
Plan.
Yes. A plan of action. A plan, guys. So in other words, as a business, as an organization, you are at a certain point in terms of your growth journey. You have ideas in terms of what you should look like or what you want to achieve by end of the year, by end of 2 years or whatever it is. And then someone will come to the room and ask, how are we going to get there? How are we going to move from point A, which is where we are, to point B, which is where we want to be? The question of how. How do you address the how? You address the how with a plan to say, here is our plan. This is the plan we're going to follow. This is the plan we're going to execute for us to move from where we are to where we want to be. So I've got 2 words so far. I've got path and I've got plan. What else? What other words come to mind?
Competitive activities.
Roadmap.
Yeah, someone says roadmap. Before that, there was someone who mentioned something compare, but I could not get the last part.
I said competitive activities. I don't know.
Competitive activities. I'll rather link that back to the plan conversation to say what specific activities are we going to execute for us to move from point A to point B. You mentioned the word competitive, which says to me, when you do or execute on those activities, you're going to do them better than competitors. Maybe that's where the concept of competitive came in what you gave us there. Colleagues, I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot of the stuff you say. Sometimes it will be not what you wanted to say, but we're going to paraphrase anyway. But you're welcome to come in and say, so that's not exactly what I was saying, but we're going to play with your words as much as we can. Then someone just said to us, a road map. Isn't that interesting? A roadmap. So roadmap also takes us back to plan. So in other words, what is the roadmap? What does the journey look like? What does the journey look like? In fact, in my list of questions, the other question I have there is, why is it important for an organization to have a strategy? And I can give you the answer to that. And the answer is strategy gives us a sense of direction. When I say us, I mean employees at all levels. When employees at all levels understand what the strategy is, they start to have a good sense of direction in terms of where we are and where we're going. Guys, I can tell you, it's frustrating to wake up every day and not even know or be sure of where we're going as an organization. Or there's a why in my mind. Why are we doing this? You will keep having the why if the organization has not made it clear in terms of who we are, where we're going, and why we're going there, and so on. So people want to have a good sense of direction. Guys, this is quite important for us, supervisors, managers, executives, so that when we deal with our teams, when we delegate work to our teams, we're able to give them a sense of where the organization is and where it's going. So hence it's important for everyone who has a team in the organization to have a good sense of what the strategy is, what are the key objectives, and how we're going to achieve those objectives so that we can lead our teams properly and give them that sense of direction. Okay. So that was the definition of strategy in terms of our view. The other question I might ask is, who is strategy for? Guys, isn't that interesting? Who is it for? When we put together a strategy, who are we doing that for?
It's for your organization. It's for your brand. It's for your client.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's for the organization, it's for the brand, it's for the clients. Okay. What else? Who else can complement?
The employees and the people.
Okay, come in there. Come in there again.
It's for the employees and the people.
For the employees, for the people,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
For
Who can
stakeholders.
summarize? There's one word that summarizes the who.
Stakeholders.
Stakeholders. That's the word we're looking for. Hence, chapter 5 speaks about who are stakeholders, what are they expecting. Chapter 5 gives us tools to map stakeholders in terms of identifying them, look at the power they have in terms of how how each stakeholder will likely influence the strategy, how to prioritize each stakeholder in terms of the attention we might want to give each stakeholder and all of that. So have a look at chapter 5. Because I love my textbook, I might just want to browse for you and give you guys the exact page where you can have a look at this. I'm not saying only look at this, but you can have a look at this and other things in the chapter. Is page 133. Page 133 of the textbook. Figure 5.3. 5.3 gives you a map that you can use to sort of prioritize stakeholders. Because guys, come on, there are so many stakeholders in the organization. You have both external and internal stakeholders. Externally, you have your unions, you have government, you have regulators, you have the community, you have media, you have suppliers. Those are external, and the list goes on and on. And then internally, you can sort of segment the teams. You have employees, you have top management, you have the shareholders, and so on. So you have both internal and external stakeholders, or external, the client is also a very key one. And the question now becomes, what is the interest of each stakeholder, especially in terms of the strategy and how to make sure that each stakeholder is kept satisfied. There's no way you can keep every stakeholder satisfied. That's why it's important that you must be able to prioritize the stakeholders, right? So this chapter speaks about that, and it also speaks about issues of governance, ethics, and all of that. So have a look at chapter 5 when you've got time, because it's part of the overview of strategy. Okay, that was the who. I've already addressed the question that says why strategy is important. We said it gives us a sense of direction. Okay, the other two questions, I might want to touch on them next week, or when we meet again, whenever that will be. So please, someone remind me to say, oh, you didn't finish the questions. Why am I skipping the one or two of the questions? Is because I want to quickly look at the definitions. So we have discussed what the definitions are, and we all got it right. But it's also important for us to quickly look at what the textbook is giving us in terms of formal definitions. So those definitions, guys, are on chapter 1, and I'm sure most of you did have a look at them and you like the definitions. That is on page 5 of the textbook. So I did say earlier, there are many definitions out there, but these ones complement each other nicely because each definition takes a different angle, and collectively these definitions give us a sense of what strategy is about. These definitions complement each very nicely. So the first one is from Alfred Chandler. So Alfred, guys, is one of the founders when it comes to a business strategy theory. So before him, I think he came to the picture around 1960. And he really assisted in terms of bringing the theories close to business. Before that, the issues of strategy were mainly from the military point of view. A lot of the theories were dominated by issues of the military, which is where things really started from strategy, which is great. But Chandler, with the other chaps, he brought it close to business. And he says to us, strategy is the determination of the long-run goals and objectives of an enterprise and the adoption of courses of action and the allocation of resources necessary to carry out these goals. So it's got a very nice linear approach in terms of steps involved in strategy to say it starts with you identifying what you want to achieve from a goals point of view. And it says these goals and objectives are fairly long-term in nature. That's the issue, guys, about strategy. Strategy is long-term. So in other words, in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time, what success do we want to see and how are we going to get into that success? So strategy by nature is long-term. So hence he also brought that in, and he speaks about adoption of courses of action, which is the issue of planning. There must be a plan on what is going to be done for us to achieve our goals. And he says allocation is also important to say you can have the goals, they could be ambitious, nicely looking goals, but there must be resources and capabilities that are going to be used in executing on those for us to achieve our goals. So he was quite clear in terms of his view on strategy. And then Michael Porter, hey guys, this is the big boss, eh? This is the big boss. Michael Porter is a professor at Harvard Business School. Oh, breaking news, he's still alive, by the way. Still alive. I think he's now chasing 90 in terms of age. He is a consulting professor at the Harvard Business School. Almost every framework we're going to use has some influence of Michael Porter. So he's a real guru in strategy. He's got a view on what strategy is about. He says to us, strategy is about being different. Okay, it means deliberately choosing a different set of activities to deliver a unique mix of value. So Michael Porter is very external in his perspective. For him, it's about winning. Strategy is about winning in terms of saying, what can I do for me to be different from competition? What can I do for me to be more attractive than competitors so that customers keep coming back to me and not my peers next door? So his view of strategy is very competitive. It's about the concept of differentiation to say, what are we going to do for us to be really different compared to others so that at the end of the day, we win against competition. And he also speaks about value. Each and every organization, if you are to win, there must be some sort of value that you provide to client, a mix of value. For example, BMW gives you so much. And there's a very specific user of BMW, and if you look at the operations of the business, you find that they're able to give what they give because of a number of activities, from how they manage the brand to the kind of locations they have chosen in terms of their factories, the kind of people they bring in, the kind of engineers they bring in, and so on and so on. The pricing, how they price, how they position their pricing and all that. So that mix of activities or set of activities allow them to give the customer a unique mix of value, right? So that's what Porter is about. Porter is fairly external in his view. Peter Drucker is a guru in his own right, especially in terms of management theories. And his view is strategy is a firm theory about how to gain competitive advantages. So he's not far from Porter, but he is clear. He says a strategy is basically your plan. What are you going to do for you to win against competition? And he says that is strategy. He's all about winning. Once someone mentions the word competitive, especially the issue of advantage, they are thinking about winning. They're saying, what are we going to do for us to win against competition? And then Henry Mintzberg is one of my favorites. He takes a totally different view. Before we go to Mintzberg, look at the last definition, exploring strategy. That one is not that exciting because it really builds on Chandler. The guys who wrote the textbook, which is Exploring Strategy, they took a very simple definition that says strategy is the long-term direction of an organization. Great, simple, but it really builds on Chandler. Okay, here's our chat. Henry Mintzberg. Mintzberg take a very different approach to what strategy is about. He says to us, strategy is a pattern in a stream of decisions. Guys, strategy is a pattern in a stream of decisions. Before we talk about it, let's look at what's in the textbook in unpacking what this man is saying, right? It says Mintzberg, guys, I'm quoting directly from the textbook. It says Mintzberg takes a view that strategy is less certain. He uses the word pattern to allow for the fact that strategies do not always follow a deliberately chosen and logical plan, but can emerge in more ad hoc ways. Mintzberg says, sometimes strategies reflect a series of incremental decisions that only cohere into a recognizable pattern or the strategy after some time. This is a very interesting man, Henry Mintzberg. He says strategy is a pattern in a stream of decisions. Okay, so it's a very interesting view of strategy, and he's not against what the other guys are saying. He's just complementing them, and he comes from a different angle. He's saying to us, this business, whatever business it might be, yeah, there might be that long-term vision. There might be one or two articulated objectives or goals in terms of what we want to achieve by the end of the year or end of whatever period it is. However, in this organization, there is no detailed plan. That's what Mintzberg is saying. There's no plan that talks about how the how is going to be achieved. How are we going to move from A to B? How are we going to move from where we are to the vision that the founders and the business owners have and management possibly about the organization? It's not articulated anywhere. So in other words, as a business, on a daily basis, we just do things. We do certain things, and some of these things were not planned. But when you look back on the things that we have been doing, when you look back on the decisions we have been taking, you get to understand what our strategy is. I'm not sure if you guys are with me. There is no written plan. It might be somewhere, but it's too high level. In the main, we are taking a more emergent approach to strategy. Things just happen. There is space for our teams to do what they think is right, what they think will take us to our vision and those few objectives that might have been articulated. This is a bit of an interesting space that a lot of organizations find themselves in, because there is a lot of risk in taking that approach. But it can also be rewarding for the organization. Before I go to Naledi, I always say to organizations, take that approach, fine if it works for you, but there must be some sort of control so that we don't veer out too much, such that we end up getting lost. There must be some sort of a mind framework that says, yes, there might not be specific things that come out of a plan, but let's do things like this, and maybe not that, and so on. So I'm trying to say this works for certain organizations, but we call for control. There must be some sort of managerial control in terms of those activities that emerge, that were not planned, but we do get involved in them anyway, because at the end, they do help us achieve our objectives. So that's the main difference in terms of what Mintzberg is saying. His approach to strategy says, does it have to be a formal written plan? He says rather some organizations actually take a more emergent approach to strategy. In fact, if you look at this quickly, before I go to my colleague Naledi, is that have a look at this, guys. To say every organization, by the end, every organization will have what is normally referred to as the intended strategy. At a high level, we all have a vision, all have objectives, and the truth is, you will not realize all of those objectives, goals that you wanted to attain. In fact, even that long-term vision might never be seen, might never be attained. So hence, the arrow does move to say some of the strategies might never be realized, right? So he says to then the theory says to us, once we have that clear intended strategy, there are two ways that could take us to realizing the strategy. It's a mix of both deliberate and emergence. Deliberate is basically what was clearly planned, articulated, and said, okay, we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4 this year, right? Deliberate strategy. Emergent is the main spec approach, the things that we will do that were not really planned. So in most organizations, the mix of deliberate and emergent takes us to a realized strategy. Even large organizations, you find that, yeah, there is a deliberate plan, but along the way, as things change in the environment, we tend to do things that were not really planned or were not part of the original plan. So those things are what we call emergent strategies. So the mix of deliberate and emergent will likely take us to a realized strategy. So some organizations go for a mix of this. Some organizations are more deliberate in nature. Some organizations are more emergent. So what's your view? What do you like? I like the hybrid approach. A deliberate plan, but also allow my teams to do certain things that were not planned. That's where innovation also comes in. So I'm more for the hybrid approach. Even at Purple Growth as a business, we use both deliberate and emergent approaches to strategy. I hope that was useful, guys. Naledi, do you want to come in as well?
Yes, in fact, you just used the word that I wanted to mention, the innovation. I think Netzberg basically is putting his strategy plan on a higher level because he's trying to introduce that concept of innovation in every business. So I like his definition a lot.
Yes. So there's quite a bit of innovation. There's quite a bit of space for innovation in the emergent approaches. I agree with you. But it doesn't say organizations that are more deliberate don't innovate. They do also innovate. Remember, you can also plan innovation. It can also be part of the plan in terms of how we're going to innovate in our processes, in our products, in how we serve our clients, and so on and so on. But thanks for that, Naledi. And Shanta, do you want to also add? Did I say Shanta earlier? Okay, that's fine. She'll come back.
Sorry, I was speaking to myself on mute. I think also with the impact of COVID, I mean, lots of organizations have changed. Whereas now it's kind of they have to kind of adjust or evolve to remain present and constant and to still have their businesses running. So I think it's quite weird. We've kind of been pushed in a situation whereby you kind of have to change or you're like lost in everything.
Yes, thanks for that. So situations like COVID-19 are really pushing us, and they're pushing us to the more emergent type of space to say no one knew this was going to happen. What are we going to do? Is there anything else that you have in mind? And then innovation comes in, and so on and so on. So it's more emergent. It was not part of the original plan, and so on. So I like that to say situations like COVID to push us to the corner and allow us to also innovate as well. Okay, this is a definition. It's not from textbook, but I find it to summarize things very nicely, guys. This one says strategy is the direction, we already spoke about that, and scope of an organization over the long term, which achieves advantage for that organization through configuration of resources within a changing environment to meet the needs of markets and to fulfill stakeholder expectations. So it's a full definition. It's got many elements. It's not from the textbook, it's from somewhere else, but I like it as well. And one of the words that I want to unpack is scope. So scope is about the portfolio. How big do we want the portfolio? In other words, how many industries do we want to play in? Geographies do we want to play in? Do we want to be more of a South African brand or an African brand? Or in SA, do we want to be a provincial type of entity from a focus point of view? Or do we want to cover the whole country? Products. Do you want to have a huge sort of a wide range of products, or do you want to be focused and have 2 or 3 products, and so on and so on? Segments. Do we want to focus on all segments, from individuals, high net worth, low income, to businesses, to NGOs, government? Do we want to serve everyone, or do we want to be niche and focus on a particular segment? So the issue of scope is part of the strategy. The decisions around scope are part of strategy. We've already spoken about the issue of creating advantages for the organization. We've spoken about resources, and we said strategy happens within a changing environment. We just had that conversation. Or there's the issue of stakeholders, fulfilling stakeholder expectations. So you have to understand who are the stakeholders and what are their expectations per stakeholder, and can the strategy cover those key expectations, and so on. Okay, great, colleagues. So this takes us maybe to the exercise. So the groups are going to meet now in their syndicate rooms, and are going to complete the first 2. It's one exercise, but you just first give a synopsis of who the organization is, a high-level summary, and then you complete this template. But please don't complete this one, complete the one that's in the workbook. I showed you the workbook earlier on, and we did say, please have 1 copy, have 1 person who drives, 1 person who takes notes, 1 person who leads and coordinates the conversation. So this is going to take you guys about 40 minutes. Before you start, I will suggest take a 5 minutes break and then meet as a syndicate for 40 minutes. If by some problem you are not able to get into your syndicate room, please give Poncho a call for her to assist you in terms of getting into the syndicate room. Poncho, are you in the room by any chance? Not really. Did Poncho give you her cell number, guys? Before I dish it out, hey, I'm going to get into trouble. Did Poncho give you her cell number?
No, I don't think so.
Just in case someone has a problem in getting to the syndicate room. Okay, guys, I'm going to. Sometimes we do things and apologize later. Eh? So let me give you her cell number. If problems arise, I will say you guys forced me to giving away her number. I'll blame you guys. So let's give the number away. 060 501 7933. So Poncho's number is on the screen. I've just put it there as a text. So please call her or drop her WhatsApp if you struggle to get into the syndicate room for some reason. So guys, you're going to take a 5 minutes break, and then at 10:50, you're going to go to your syndicate rooms, and you're going to complete the first 2 sections of the workbook. The first one is you introduce the organization, and then the last piece is complete the synopsis. Don't do the vision exercise. We'll do that next week or another time. Yeah. There's something I want to show you guys as well. So in terms of the business that you're going to choose, I've got some nice suggestions here, but you guys don't have to choose from my list. It's up to you. So I thought about organizations that are small and are growing and emerging businesses, or are struggling. These are businesses that really need our help as a class in terms of really helping them build a strategy. So it's up to you. You don't have to choose from my list, but you can choose any. Don't choose Sakumzi. Sakumzi is a business I'm going to use, Sakumzi restaurant. You can choose anything here or come up with your own. Lyft is a new airline which has just been launched. You might want to help them put together a strategy. Choppies is a massive retailer that is really taking a knock. They compete with ShopRite, Pick n Pay in some of the provinces, not all of them. Batu is a black-owned sort of fashion brand, mainly focusing on sneakers. You will know Matosa, which is also a fashion brand. Bank Zero is a bank which is launching as we speak. It's being launched by Michael Jordan, who used to be the head of FNB. Time Bank, we all know about. King Price is a very small insurance company, but it's growing fast, and you might want to come in and assist them with a strategy. Star Schools is also an interesting one in terms of that space. So just examples, just to give you ideas, but you can choose any. So part of the exercise, when you go to the room, choose an organization, and all exercises are going to be based on that organization. Okay, colleagues, any question before you go?
Yes, only South African organizations.
I would say, yeah, African. It could be South Africa or somewhere else on the continent. It's part of forcing us to think African because the textbook is quite international. So we are helping the textbook to say the exercises we're going to do in class will at least be South African or African.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I won't really encourage an international entity, but you can go for it, no penalty. But I will say, let's keep it African if we can. Any other questions, colleagues? Are we clear? Okay, great, colleagues, great. 5 minutes break, and then 40 minutes for the exercise is enough. So you won't give feedback today. You will give feedback next week. So go away and take the 40 minutes. I will see you guys next week. Yeah, that's it for the day, guys. Dr. Karen, are you still in the room?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Okay, Doc, we're ending it here in terms of the formal proceedings. So the guys are now moving to the syndicate rooms. So I'm raising that so that when you do your sessions with them, you can take a similar approach as well.
Yeah, super.
Okay,
I was looking forward
great.
to having a session with you. Wishing you well.
Thanks, guys. Let's give Karen a round of applause, guys. Thank you. Okay, guys. Yeah, take your yes, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Yeah, take your. Oh, by the way, contact her for anything relating to Discover rewards and all of that. Maybe one more points and so on. You can check that with her as well.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, aside from working there, I can be contacted for all servicing requests.
Ooh. Yes. Okay, colleagues. 5 minutes
living
break.
the decree.
Yes, 5 minutes break and then 40 minutes. And then you can end at 11:30. And I will see you guys next week. Sorry, next week. Then when we start next week, we can present. You can present quickly what you guys came up with. So please, off you go. Enjoy it. You know the workbook. I showed you the workbook. You do the first 2 pieces. The intro to the organization and the synopsis as well. Okay, all the best, guys. Thank you very much. That was day 1. I will see you on day 2. I will likely visit 1 or 2 syndicate rooms to see what you guys are doing or to contribute if I can. Otherwise, that's it, guys. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. See you in the rooms. See you in the rooms. Thank you, guys. Sharp, sharp.
Thank you.
Bye.